Hello everybody, welcome to verbling.com, and my name is Lisa. I'm one of the teachers here at verbling.com, one of the English teachers. So if you have a reservation for this hour, for this class, you can use that now, and I will welcome you here into the Google Hangouts, which is our classroom for this hour. And in this hour, we're going to be having a reading lesson. So if you are interested in practicing your English in a real way, this is a real context. I mean, this is why you are learning English, so that you can use it for different things. Maybe you need to learn English so that you can read books. Maybe you're going to study abroad in an English-speaking country. Maybe you need to read things for your job. I know we have a lot of computer science type people, engineers, coders, programmers, things like that, and a lot of times they need to read things in their manuals, and their manuals are written in English. So if you need to practice your reading, you can join us now in this classroom. Just click on the Join Class button, and it did say that the class was fully booked, so I'm waiting for some people to join. Hi there, Lucas. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm a little bit. Hey, Hamid. Welcome. How are you doing?
Same problem. Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. Good.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, I'm a little bit tired because I went into Seattle, which is the biggest city near where I live, about 2 hours away, and I had a fun time dancing, and I didn't get back home until about 2 in the morning. So I'm a little bit tired.
And I celebrate your son's birthday.
Yes.
And our party has just finished. I mean, my cousin's daughter has a party for us, and it has just over.
Wow, fun. Yes, we're both having celebrations today.
Yes, and my relative environment says to hi for you.
Okay, hi. Yes, so some people who are friends with me on Facebook know that today is my son's 16th birthday. So he's getting to be a pretty big guy, and in the United States, the birthday for when you turn 16, it's kind of special. One of the reasons why is because that is the age when you can get a driver's license. So when you turn 16, you can take your driver's license test, and if you pass it, then you get to be able to drive. And so that's one more step towards adulthood. You know, we have these different steps that lead you to becoming a full functioning adult, hopefully. So that's one of them. Yes, so wonderful. Welcome, Vincenzo. How are you today?
Fine, Lisa. What about you?
Good. Just a little tired.
I celebrated my daughter's birthday, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Did you have a good time?
Yes. We had some friends, and we went out in a restaurant in order to have a feast.
To have a little celebration and have dinner together.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's always fun. Wonderful. And hi there, Kata. How are you doing? Kata, your microphone is muted, so I don't hear you if you are talking. So maybe unmute your microphone. There you go.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I a little bit sleepy.
Oh. Yes.
I went bed, but I had a sign to wake up because I don't want to miss your lecture.
Class.
I
Okay.
enjoy your class very well and very
Great,
much.
great.
That's why I want to stand up and
So you got out of bed to take the class.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. And tell me, what time is it for you in Hungary? Is it 10 or 11?
It's 10.
10 o'clock. Okay, 9 hours ahead of me. So I'm in Washington State. That's on the west coast of the United States, up above the states of California, then Oregon, then Washington. And so it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So in Europe, you guys are 9 hours ahead of us. Okay, well, welcome you guys.
For me, 11 p.m.
Yeah, you're one hour ahead of those guys in Europe, like France and Italy and Hungary and places like that. And look at who's here. Donato's also here. Hi there, Donato. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Working just fine. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I put the link over in the Verblink chat there, so I'm hoping it is working for everybody. I'm going to put the article in the screen share now. So for people who are new or maybe watching Verbling for the first time, this is going to be a reading class. And so what we do in the reading class, what I do, every teacher does something a little bit different. But what I like to do is I like to choose articles from the internet, since we are, working over the internet or via the internet as a classroom. So one thing I like to do is take articles or blog posts or just something that I find on the internet that may be interesting, but also, that comes from different topics, so that you guys get exposed to lots of different types of language and also different types of vocabulary on different topics. So one way, or one of the definitions we could say of being fluent in a language is to be able to express yourself. And once you kind of get the basics down of expressing yourself, then it's really just a matter of learning more words, more phrases, so that you can speak about lots of different topics. So this topic is what we might call a health-related or lifestyle topic. It has to do with a new book, actually, that this guy has written about that topic. And this particular article is about a 94-year-old woman who lives in Canada, Vancouver, Canada, which is pretty close to where I live, about 4 hours away by car. And she's doing some pretty amazing physical activities. And so the book is about how we can do more active things throughout our life, and that nowadays even people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s even are very active. Okay, so that's kind of the topic of this article. And what I'm going to do, as most of you know, is I'm going to read usually a chunk. It's not necessarily always a paragraph. Sometimes it's just one sentence because I make it so big. But I'll read a chunk at a time. And when I'm reading, that's a chance for you to practice your listening skills, so that you hear how I pronounce the words. Sometimes, you may not know the pronunciation, or you may not be familiar with the word. So if when I'm reading, you can listen and read along, and then I will give you guys each chance to practice reading out loud. And when you do read out loud, this is a chance for you to practice your pronunciation, not just of the words, but also saying the phrases together, because as we all know, what makes the language understandable and different from your native language is often the rhythm, the ups and the downs that we do with our voice, the speed, those types of things. So you get a chance to practice that. And then I'll also go over some vocabulary words. So if you have any questions when we are reading along and you don't understand something, you can tell me. But usually for the reading class, the main objective, the main goal is to get the gist of the story. So basically you don't necessarily have to know every single word perfectly. You can always look it up in dictionary, online, or something while we're reading, if that's quick for you. And so the main idea is to get the main idea. All right, here we go. I'm also just giving that introduction because I think all of you in class know this, so but we do have people who are just always finding out about verbling.com, and they sometimes don't know what is happening, so I want to give a little explanation. All right, the title of this article is 6 Lessons on Living Longer and Staying Sharp from a Nonagenarian Track Star. So nonagenarian is a person in their 90s, nona, and genarian. So nona is the number 9, and genarian is a person in their 90s. So, and she's a track star. So that's a running.
Does it coming from Latin?
Yes, probably. Nona and then octa, deca, you know.
Maybe Donato knows this.
Yeah, probably. A lot of things, you know, in English come from Latin or Greek, you know, especially if they're what we call technical terms. So like terminology that is used in medicine or law or something like that. So here we go. Oh, and to stay sharp, that just means to be quick-witted, to have your mental faculties in order so you can think clearly. 94-year-old Olga Kotelko, a retired school teacher from West Vancouver, Canada, could be the poster child for late bloomers. 17 years ago, at 77, she entered her first Masters Track and Field competition for participants age 35 and over. At 85, she knocked off nearly 20 world records in a single year. Today, she is the only woman in the world over 90 still long jumping and high jumping competitively. Okay, Vincenzo, why don't you get us started with that first paragraph, please? And I think everybody has their microphones muted, so just remember to unmute. There you go.
Hello, 94-year-old Olga Kotelko, a retired school teacher from West Vancouver, Canada, could be the poster child for late bloomers. 17 years ago, at 77, she entered her first Masters Track and Field competition for participants aged 35 and records in a single year.
You missed that part.
Okay. Oh dear.
35 and over.
At 85, she knocked off nearly 20 world records in a single year. Today, she is the only woman in the world over 90 still long jumping and high jumping competitively.
Competitively.
Competitively,
Good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good. Okay, so she could be the poster child. That's a phrase that we have here in English. If somebody is the poster child for something, it means like they're a shining star or a shining example of that type of person. So in this case, she is the poster child or a shining example for a late bloomer. A late bloomer is somebody who does something at a later time than usual. So usually you're going to be a track star, you're going to be young, maybe in your teens or your 20s or something at least. But here she's gotten into this very late in life at 77, and so she is referred to as a late bloomer. Sometimes we talk about kids, maybe kids who learn things a little bit later than their friends or their peers. We call them late bloomers. So she started running in track and field competitions, not just doing it for herself, but as a competition. So she was entering, in the United States here, we have competitions. Of course, the main competitions that you see on TV are all between very young people, usually 20s, 30s, maybe a person in their 40s. But for professional elite sports, we have that, we watch people in the younger ages. But we do have master's classes, and that is for people beyond like their 40s. So they're not considered the top elite, but they still have fun. They still do swimming, competitions, running competitions, weightlifting, whatever, all different types of sports. You can still compete, go be on a team or go against others. So that's always a master's level competition. That's what we call it. And so at 85 years old, she knocked off. So she knocked off is a phrasal verb, which means she finished or she completed or she accomplished. So she was able to knock off or accomplish 20 world records in 1 year, a single year.
Reached, yes.
It's a very high level. Of course, I don't know how many people are competing at that age, but people are. So she's not the only person. I mean, she has to have somebody to compete against. So that means there are also other people in the higher age groups. And she's still, what I found so interesting is that she's not just running, she's long jumping, which is when you run, and then you jump into the sand pit, and you see how far you jumped. And she's high jumping, which is when you run, and then you jump over the pole, Yeah. I mean, people in their 20s can't even do that sometimes.
She must have good bones.
She
good
must have
bones.
bones. I was thinking she must also have good knees. A lot of time your knees,
Knees and bones.
Yeah, so she's got some good knee structure, I think. All right, hi there, Graciela. I see that you joined. Welcome. I think there might be somebody who has the Verbling window open just because I hear myself being repeated. Maybe, Graciela, close your Verbling window. Just leave the Google Hangout window open. All right, second paragraph. How does Olga continue to compete? Why does she feel today practically the same as she felt at 50? Around the continent, more and more researchers are studying so-called super seniors like Olga, who appear to be applying brakes to the aging process itself, defying the slide into a foggy decline.
Hi, teacher.
Hi, Graciela. You might have a delay. Thinking.
Yes, perhaps there is some Verbling window open.
Yeah. Graciela, is your Verbling window open still?
Hi, teacher. I'm here.
Yeah. Do you hear me? I think there's a delay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It was an experiment, Graciela.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just leave it muted for now. Okay, so defying the slide into a foggy decline, remaining sharp and healthy deep into old age. Okay, how does Olga continue? Lucas, you're next.
How does Olga continue to compete? Why does she feel today practically the same as she felt at 50? Around the continent, more and more research are studying so-called super seniors like Olga, who appear to be applying brakes to the aging process itself, defying the slide into a foggy decline, remaining sharp and healthy deep into old age.
Good.
Continue? No? Okay.
Let's stop there. So
Okay.
practically, whenever we say practically, it means basically or just like. So she feels basically like she did when she was 50. So almost the same. You could I'm giving you different words you could use besides practically that you might be familiar with. So she's pretty much the same, you know, feeling the same as she did when she was 50, even though she's 94 now, so she's almost twice as old as she was then. And more researchers are studying these people that they're calling the super seniors. So not is it just amazing that they're still alive and still walking around, they're running and doing very active things that are not so typical for that age group. And so they appear to be, so it looks like they're applying the brakes to the aging process itself. So that whole phrase there just means like they're stopping. When you put your brakes on in the car, it stops the car. So to apply or to put the brakes on, it means to stop. So they're stopping this process of aging, which is usually a decline. We usually think of aging as a foggy decline. You go down, you forget things, you're not so sharp, you are tired more, your body is going into we think of it as sliding down, you know. But they're defying it. So to defy means to go against. So these people are like, hey, you know, this doesn't have to happen. So they're staying sharp and healthy deep into. So not just when they're 70 or 80, but deep means longer, really, you know, into their 90s apparently. We think longevity is probably about 70 to 75% lifestyle, says Angela Brooks Wilson, Ph.D., a geneticist in the Genome Sciences Center at the BC Cancer Agency in Vancouver. That means just a quarter of healthy aging is about the protection you inherited, and up to 3/4 is determined by how you play the hand you were dealt. This is excellent news. Will any of us be sprinting into our 90s like Olga? Perhaps not, but can just about all of us be more like Olga? Absolutely. Okay, so let me go here. All right, starting at We Think Longevity. Kata, why don't you read that for us? And unmute your microphone first.
Okay. We think longevity is usually about 70 to 75% lifestyle, said Angela Brooks Wilson, PhD, a geneticist in the Genome Sciences Center at the BBC Cancer Agency in Vancouver. That means just a quarter of healthy aging is about the protection you inherited, and up to 3/4 is determined by how you play the hand you were dealt. This is excellent news. Will any of us be sprinting into our 90s like Olga? Perhaps not, but can just about all of us be more like Olga? Absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, a few things here. Longevity, that means how long something lives. So for human longevity, that means our age, what, you know, how do we live our life, how long do we live? And they're saying that it's, for the most part, determined by lifestyle. So it really matters how you live your life. They say the person who's saying this is a geneticist, so she studies the genes that we inherit from our parents and our ancestry, our lineages, grandparents, things like that. So that means just about 25% or a quarter is about protection you inherited. So you get a certain amount of your genes, you know, they give you a certain amount of protection. You inherit that. That comes from your parents. But how you, she says here, play the hand you were dealt. So this is a reference to like cards. So if you're playing a card game, you know, you get your cards, but depends on how you play them, how well you do. So how do you live your life? that determines how long you will live. This is what the researchers are saying. And that is good news or excellent news, because then maybe we can do things that help us live longer if that's what we want. Sprinting here is running. When you run fast in a short distance, that's called sprinting. So maybe not everybody's going to be doing that, but maybe, or absolutely, they say, you can do more things than we thought. All right, so then the article now is broken up into different, under different headings. So swap the Sudoku for sneakers. So Sudoku is a game that from Japan, a little numbers game that you can play, and you sit down and play it. People think about it for keeping your mind active, but they're saying swap the Sudoku for sneakers, for tennis shoes, so you can get out there and go walk around. So even before she laced up her first track spikes, Olga was always active. As a kid on the Saskatchewan prairie, Saskatchewan is in Canada, she and her 10 siblings played baseball with a rag-stuffed ball, and she was still playing up until age 75, when she began thinking about a new pastime after being plowed down in the outfield by an overzealous teammate chasing the same pop fly. A friend suggested master's track, and just a few months later, at her first international meet in Tucson, that's in Arizona in the United States, Olga launched the javelin 10 feet farther than her competitor's marks. She soon hooked up with a coach and started rewriting the record books. Okay, wow, good for her. Okay, Hamid.
Okay. Swap the Sudoku for sneakers. Even before she laced up her first track spikes, Olga was always active. As a kid on the Saskatchewan prairie, she and her 10 siblings played baseball with a rag-stuffed ball. And she was still playing up until age 75, when she began thinking about a new pastime after being plowed down in the outfield by an overzealous teammate chasing the same pop fly. A friend suggested master's track, and just a few months later, at her first international meet in Tucson, Olga launched the javelin 10 feet farther than her competitor's marks. She soon hooked up with a coach and started rewriting the record books.
Good. So to lace up your shoes or your spikes, the spikes are the special track shoes that you use. They actually have little spikes on the bottom to so they go into the track a little bit so you don't fall or slip or something. She laced up her shoes means she tied them up. She put the laces in and then tied them up. So even before she did that, she was always very active. The prairie is kind of like the flatlands, the grassy lands. So she grew up there, and wow, she was one of 11. So she had 10 siblings, which means brothers and sisters, and they always played baseball with a rag-stuffed ball. Rag is just like a small piece of material, like a towel or something, and so they would make a ball out of just squishing the rags together and tying them up, and then that would be the ball. And she kept playing baseball until she was 75. But she had to find a new pastime. Pastime is like a hobby or a sport, something to do, not for money, but for fun. She got plowed down. So to get plowed down or to be plowed down means somebody like bumped into you, ran into you, knocked you over onto the ground, because this person was an overzealous teammate. So overzealous means overly excited, like they're running to catch this ball. For baseball, there's a pop fly. A pop fly happens when the batter hits the ball and it goes really high up in the air, and then in the outfield you're trying to catch it, but you're running while you're looking at the ball to try to find it where it is, and two people, they smashed into each other. So they were both trying to go for the same ball. So that's a little bit dangerous, especially at the age of 75. So then she got into track. She threw the javelin, which is like a spear, you know, the old days, Greek Olympics, they throw the spear. That's the javelin. She threw it really far, farther than her competitors. And so then she decided to hook up with. When you hook up with somebody, it means you get together with them. So she hired a coach to start working with a coach. And then that's when she started to rewrite the record books, which means she started to make world records. As comprehensively as scientists know that exercise helps the body, they're still learning how far it goes in shoring up the brain. Increasing evidence suggests that for fending off senior moments, where'd I leave my car keys? Not to mention full-blown dementia, exercise works better than even those brain games touted to boost memory and function. A recent review of research by Norwegian scientists found that the gains people make on such puzzles don't necessarily carry over into real life. They're not going to help you as you age with, say, driving, says Justin Rhodes, Ph.D., a psychologist at the Beckman Institute for Advanced Science and Technology at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. That's a long title. But exercise can help you improve across the board. Across the board. Okay. Who's that? Is it Donato? Whoops. Where is it? Okay. Donato.
Okay. As comprehensively as scientists know that exercise helps the body, they're still learning how far it goes in shoring up the brain. Increasing evidence suggests that for fending off senior moments, where did I leave my car keys, not to mention full-blown dementia, exercise works better than even those brain games touted to boost memory and function. A recent review of research by Norwegian scientists found that the gains people make on such puzzles don't necessarily carry over into real life. They're not going to help you as you age. They're not going to help you as you age with, say, driving. Saying Just Rhodes, Ph.D., a psychologist at the Beckman Institute for Advanced Science and Technology at the University of Illinois and Urbana-Champaign. But exercise can help you improve across the board.
Yeah, that's like we call that a mouthful right there, that whole thing. Telling where it's from. It's like a mouthful to say all that stuff. But anyways, let's see. Okay, so comprehensively. So in English, you can't always know exactly how everything's going to sound because our language is not necessarily only phonetics, or it doesn't just follow simple phonetic rules. But a lot of times just breaking it up helps to have better pronunciation. So you did a good job there. It's just comprehensively. So that was good. And it just means that even though they know a lot, so to know something comprehensively means you know a lot about it. They know that what they know a lot about is that exercise helps. So we know that the exercise helps the body, but they're still learning about how it helps the brain, basically, in shoring up the brain. So to shore up something means to help it out. So how does it help out the brain? But their evidence, increasing evidence, so more and more evidence, information, data, their research, suggests that it helps fend off. So to fend off means to keep it from happening. When you're fighting somebody, you're trying to fend off like a robber. It means you're trying to go against that person so they don't hurt you. So this means to go against having these senior moments. A senior moment is like forgetting something, maybe. Like, where are my car keys? I can't remember. And of course, not to mention, it is also beneficial to fend off or to go against or stop perhaps full-blown dementia. Full-blown means total dementia. Sometimes when people have dementia, it just starts off a little bit at a time, but then eventually you might have full-blown dementia, which means you're like completely don't remember anything. So they're saying now that exercise is better, it works better than the brain games that are touted. To tout something means to be promoted. So, you see a lot of websites promoting puzzles, Sudoku, crossword puzzles, things like that for the mind. And, it is true that that might help the memory and the function, but those gains, so when you gain something, it's like your achievements, so you get better at something. So even though you're getting better on these puzzles, it doesn't necessarily carry over into real life. So it doesn't transfer. To carry over into means to transfer. It helps in this area, but it doesn't really help in your real life. It doesn't help you become a better driver or stay a good driver. It helps you with being better at puzzles, for example. So, but they're saying now we think exercise can be beneficial across the board. So not just for your body, but also for your brain. So across the board means for everything, basically. Stay on your feet. At home, a tidy suite in the lower level of her daughter's house, Olga rarely sits for long. She's continually popping up to stir a soup, write a letter, or make a phone call. She climbs the stairs, she figures, probably 50 times a day. She switches on the TV only to watch her favorite game shows, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, or check the weather. Apart from a brief stint as a secretary after she left her family's farm, she never had a desk job. A desk job, one where you would sit a long time. Okay, Vincenzo, at home. Your microphone's muted.
Allora, okay. At home, a tidy suit in the lower level of her daughter's house, Olga rarely sits for long. She is continually popping up to stir a soup, write a letter, or make a phone call. She climbs the stairs, she figures, probably 50 times a day. She switches on the TV only to watch her favorite game shows, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, or check the weather. Apart from a brief stint as a secretary after she left her family's farm, she's never had a desk job. Simply...
Yeah, let's just stop there for a minute.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, suite. This word is suite, and it means, like when you go to a hotel, you can stay in a hotel suite. That's the room. So she has a little room. Yeah. Yeah, I think you said suit. So suit would be that without the E, and that would be something that you wear, like a business suit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So the suite is the room where she lives. So she's continually, so always, popping up. So she's getting up off of her couch or, a chair. So she's popping up, getting up to go do something. So she's a very active person. She does not like to just sit down. She climbs up and down the stairs. She figures. To figure means to think. So she thinks it's about, 50 times a day. And she doesn't watch much TV apart from a brief stint. So apart from means like you did this one thing and now you're doing all this other stuff. So she only had a short, brief means short, stint is a time period. So she had a brief time period that she was a secretary. But then she has never since had another desk job. A desk job is, of course, one where you sit at your desk all day and usually nowadays work on a computer. When she was younger, it probably just meant working with a typewriter or a phone or writing letters or something like that. But today, yeah.
Should we have to leave our our classes or not?
Maybe we need to stand up.
Verbling. Give up with
verbally.
that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, that's what it says in the next paragraph. So simply means just standing up, or simply standing up more is the best thing sedentary people can do to start becoming healthier, maintains Joan Vernikos, PhD, from the former director of life sciences for NASA and author of the book Sitting Kills. Whoa. The painless act of rising from your chair pumps blood from the feet to the head and tunes the vestibular system, which helps maintain blood pressure and keeps you steady on your feet.
You must follow your lesson standing up, teacher.
Right, yeah. Hey, I'm standing up right now. Okay, Lucas.
Simply standing up more is the best thing sedentary people can do to start becoming healthier, maintains John Vernikos, and I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, it's like Greek or something. Vernikos, I don't know.
PhD.
PhD. Yeah.
PhD.
PhD, philosophy.
PhD. The former director of life science for NASA and author of the book Sitting Kills. The painless act of rising from your chair pumps blood from the feet to the head and tunes the vestibular system, which helps maintain blood pressure and keeps you steady on your feet.
Good. So just standing up, so getting up onto your feet instead of sitting down, helps sedentary people. So a person who is sedentary sits a lot. So we call people, like if you sit around and watch a lot of TV or watch a lot of YouTube videos, we have a term, it's called couch potato here in the United States. So that's a sedentary person. And so this person maintains. So to maintain something means this is what you believe. This is what you say. So she's saying that we should just start standing up more. She wrote a book about it even, Sitting Kills. And she says it's a painless act. So it doesn't hurt. You just have to get up from your chair or rise. To rise up is to get up. And that helps move your blood from your feet to your head, and this tunes. To tune something means to make it better. Like you keep your car tuned up so that it runs well. So you want to keep your body in tune so that it runs well. The vestibular system is all about balance. So how we balance, and our blood pressure, how the blood moves through our body. So it helps us to stay steady on our feet. So we stay steady means we don't fall over. So, when you get older, sometimes one of the things that can happen is your balance gets worse. So standing up can help you with your balance. Even a regular morning jog can't compensate for being inert the other 23 hours of the day, research shows. Extended bouts of inactivity have been found to increase subjects' risk of serious afflictions, including hypertension, blood clots, and even some types of cancer, no matter how fit those subjects were. Okay. Got that? From even a regular.
Even a regular morning jog can compensate for being inert the other 23 hours of the day, research shows. Extended bouts of inactivity have been found to increase subjects' risk of serious afflictions, including hypertension, blood clots, and even some kinds of cancer, no matter how fit those subjects were.
Good. So, even if you go for a morning jog, which is kind of a popular thing for people to do, but then they go for the jog and then they sit all day at their job, for example, at where they work, that's not enough to compensate. Compensate means to make up for, you know, to make it better. So it doesn't make it better if for the rest of the time in your day you're just being very sedentary. You're not standing up, you're sitting down, you're just laying down, that kind of stuff. Extended bouts of inactivity. So that means long periods of inactivity or long time stretches of time where you're just not doing anything. That has been found to increase your risk. It makes it, it might be more probable for you to have serious afflictions. Afflictions are problems, issues, health problems like high blood pressure, which is hypertension, blood clots, where you have a little blood clot that can lead to like a stroke or something like that, and cancer. Even if you're very fit, it's still not a good idea to spend a lot of time sitting. Eat real food. People are intensely curious about Olga's diet, and while her eating habits are healthy, there's very little processed food in her cupboards, for instance. They are by no means perfect. She is no stranger to carbs, carbohydrates, often having toast in the morning, perhaps topped with cheese and honey, and bread again in her lunchtime sandwich. She likes her meat, and she likes it medium rare. At a baseball game, she'll down a hot dog and a beer. All right, Hamid, eat real food.
Okay, eat real food. People are intensely curious about Olga's diet, and while while her eating habits are healthy, there's very little processed food in her cupboards. For instance, they are by no means perfect. She is no stranger to carbs, often having toast in the morning, perhaps topped with cheese and honey, and plain bread again in her lunchtime sandwich. She likes her meat, and she likes it medium rare. At a baseball game, she'll down a hot dog and a beer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so people are intensely curious, so they really want to know. A lot of times when we talk about people who have lived for a long time or are very active into old age, we think that their diet, what they eat, is the reason. But in this case, she doesn't have any special habits other than she doesn't eat a lot of processed food. So that means she doesn't have a lot of food that's already been prepared in cans or boxes or things like that. She's no stranger to carbs. That means she eats carbs. She is not afraid of carbohydrates, so that means bread especially. And she likes meat, so she's not a vegetarian or anything like that. And she'll even have a hot dog. To down something means to eat it, so she'll down a hot dog and a beer. She'll eat a hot dog and drink some beer. Instead, it's her approach to eating that may be an overlooked part of the puzzle. Olga eats 4 to 5 times a day and not much in the evenings. She won't skip meals or scarf fast food and count on a handful of supplements and vitamins to pick up the dietary slack. She does take a baby aspirin each day to prevent blood clots and glucosamine to shore up her joint cartilage, which takes such a pounding on the track. A balanced diet ought to do it, she figures. Nature had a couple million years to get this right. Plus, she says, food's cheaper. Okay, Donato.
Okay, instead, it's her approach to eating that may be an overlooked part of the puzzle. Olga eats 4 to 5 times a day and not much in the evenings. She won't skip meals or scarf fast food and count on a handful of supplements and vitamins to pick up the dietary slack.
Mm-hmm.
She does take a baby aspirin each day to prevent blood clots and glucosamine to shore up her joint cartilage, which takes such a pounding on the track. A balanced diet ought to do it, she figures. Nature had a couple of million years to get this right. Plus, she says, food's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's stop there. Okay, so to be overlooked or to overlook something means you miss it. So you might not see it. So one of the things that people might not realize about her eating or her approach to eating, how she eats, is how many times she eats. So she eats 4 or 5 times a day, and not very much in the evenings or at nighttime. She won't skip a meal. To skip a meal means you don't eat. Like, oh, I'm not going to have breakfast, I'm too busy. So she doesn't do that. She eats, but she doesn't scarf food. Scarf means like stuff it in your face and eat it really fast. So she doesn't just go, oh, I have to eat something really fast, so I'm just going to have a hamburger from McDonald's or something like that. She also doesn't count on or rely on supplements and vitamins to pick up the dietary slack. To pick up the slack means, like, if you're eating bad food and you know it's not so great, but you try to take a lot of vitamins, you're trying to pick up the slack. You're trying to make it better for not doing it right in the first place. So she just relies on food, even though she does take an aspirin, and this is a supplement, glucosamine, and it particularly works with your joints, for your joints, the cartilage around your bones and stuff, because she takes a pounding. So, you know, her joints, you know, like I mentioned, the knees, to take a pounding means they get beat up. So, of course, she's jumping up and down. They're getting used a lot and kind of beat up, you could say. So she just says, you know, she relies on food. It's cheaper, and, you know, we've been using food for millions of years. Be a creature of habit. There is no book, you will notice, called The 7 Ephemeral Whims of Highly Successful People. The reason? Habits work. What you have to do is just get yourself to the track, says Olga's friend and fellow Masters athlete, Krista Bortignon. There, she'll dial up Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 21 on the iPod, circle the track twice, then jog it once. It's as if Krista is turning the tumblers on a lock. Those small familiar actions cue the body that it's showtime. Your muscles have a memory, she says. They know. Okay. Vincenzo? Your microphone's muted. Vincenzo!
He's fighting with this dog.
Yeah, really, maybe. Okay, Lucas.
Actually,
oh, there you go. I hear you now.
Be creature of habit. There is no book you will notice called The 7 Ephemeral Whims of Highly Successful People. The reason habits work. What you have to do is just get yourself to the track, says Olga's friend and fellow master athlete, Krista Bortignon. There she'll dial up Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 21 on the iPod, circle the track twice, then jog it once. It's as if Krista is turning the tumblers on a lock. Those small familiar actions cue the body that is short time. Your muscle have a memory, she says. They know.
Mm-hmm.
Under stress,
yeah,
okay.
Leave it there. Okay, so it's about habits. So the thing that you just get yourself to do over and over again. You know, we're not talking about whims. When you do something on a whim, you say, oh, I guess I'll do this today. No, it's about doing something as a habit. So you have to just do it and get yourself there, and maybe have like a little routine that helps you get moving. So she does this one where she listens to music, and she circles the tracks. She goes around the track twice, then jogs it. And it's like turning the tumblers on a lock. So when you're turning a lock, you know, you go a little bit here, then you go to like 5, and then you go back to 20 or something like that. This cues the body. So to cue the body, it means it gives the signal to the body, like, this is showtime. This is This is the time you're going to start doing this thing. Your muscles have that memory. So if you start, doing your little routine, then your muscles know, oh, it's time to run. Okay, we're ready. So under stress, people tend to fall back on routines, whether healthy or unhealthy. In a recent experiment, University of California psychologist Wendy Wood, PhD, one of the world's top experts in habit formation, found that students around exam time slipped into autopilot. It was habits, not cravings, as you might expect, that determined their food choices, for better or worse. Okay, Lucas.
Under stress, people tend to fall back on routines, whether healthy or unhealthy. In a recent experiment, University of Southern California psychologist Wendy Wood, PhD, one of the world's top experts in habit formation, found that students around exam time slip into autopilot. It was habits, not cravings, as you might expect, that determine their food choices for better or worse.
So when you fall back on, it means you start doing that again. So you might be trying to do something new, but when you fall back, you continue to do the thing you did before. So when it's whether or not it's something that's healthy for you or unhealthy for you. So what they found is when students needed to do some exams, like end of the year exams or something, they went into or slipped into autopilot. So autopilot is when you're not even thinking, you're just doing it. You're not really even aware of what you're doing. You are on autopilot. So it wasn't so much that they were craving food, like, oh, I gotta have pizza right now, I'm craving it. It wasn't really about that. It was more about what their habits were. And that when they're on autopilot, they're not thinking about what they're doing. They just go do it. Okay, so let's see. We don't have much time left. So, Kata, why don't you just read, and I don't need to read. So you can read that part right there. Olga's own weekly calendar.
Olga's own weekly calendar is anchored in rituals. Her mornings typically include a stretching routine. She adheres to a predictable bedtime. If it's Tuesday, she is out bowling. If it's Thursday, she is likely making theory in the basement of her church.
So she has a weekly routine. She's anchored in. That means that's what she's doing. It's keeping her steady. So she has habits, basically. And then cultivate a sense of progress. So, Hamid, why don't you read this? We all need the feeling.
Okay, cultivate a sense of progress. We all need the feeling that in some small ways we are improving, or at least not backsliding, whether at the gym, at our jobs, or in our relationships. Without periodic doses of what psychologist Teresa Enable, PhD, calls small wins, our moral craters.
Our morale craters.
Morale craters.
Yeah. Craters. So basically we need to know that what we're doing is helping us. So we need periodic doses of small wins. So we're getting better, we're making progress, and if not, then our morale, which means how we feel, then we might just, go, we suck, we're not doing any good, So yeah, why don't you read this other one here and see if we can finish this, and then Donato, you're next. Hamid?
Excuse me?
Go ahead and read one more paragraph there.
Okay. Trouble is chalking up wins becomes more difficult from midlife on, when it is easy to feel like you're getting slower and weaker by the day. Fortunately, there is a remedy. The trick is to reframe and progress so that it becomes a relative measure, not an absolute one. In other words, to move the yardsticks as you age.
Donato? Donato. Your microphone's muted.
Yes, I'm muted. So this is something that Masters Track does ingeniously. Olga's results are age-graded, meaning they are adjusted to account for the expected decline of the human body, and Olga applies the yardsticks strategy of the track as well. For instance, she still says yes to many social requests, but not to all, increasing her fulfillment by cherry-picking the best life has to offer.
Right. So you don't try to think that you should be doing the same thing as a 25-year-old. You adjust your progress expectations. And so then, that means it's appropriate to your age. And to cherry pick means to pick only the special things. You want to be very particular in or picky in what you're doing. And the last one, which we don't have time to read, but people can read if they want, is just to lighten up. So that means, don't stress out over the smallest things. Lighten up means, hey, don't take everything so seriously. So those are some ideas for people. Enjoy your life and have fun. So that's the secret to success. 94-year-old. That's pretty amazing. Okay, guys, well, maybe after when I was reading this, I decided to stand up. So I'm not sitting on my couch now when I'm teaching. I'm standing up, and I put my computer up on a shelf. So I got up because I sit a lot. So.
And Lisa, I have an offer. When we are sitting, we seem like Coach Potato, but from after this lesson, you can change your verbling lessons stream. I mean, you can start workout lessons instead of English lessons.
Yeah, or maybe, like, I know in Japan, for example, they do stretches before work. So everybody before class needs to stand up and stretch their arms and move around a little bit, and then at least you can sit down. But I think getting up is the key. Getting up, moving around a little bit, then sit back down if you need to. But don't just sit for like 5 hours straight.
And Lisa, after this lesson, we should be ready, our brains and our bodies for your lessons.
Right, exactly. Good. No matter how old you are, okay? Doesn't matter. Okay, guys, thanks for coming to class, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and good sleep. I know a lot of you are getting... And have a good week if I don't see you.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Because I don't want to miss your lecture.
Class.
I enjoy your class very well and very much. That's why I want to stand up and.
So you got out of bed to take the class.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. And tell me, what time is it for you in Hungary? Is it 10 or 11?
It's 10.
10 o'clock. Okay, 9 hours ahead of me. So I'm in Washington State. That's on the west coast of the United States, up above the states of California, then Oregon, then Washington. And so it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So in Europe, you guys are 9 hours ahead of us. Okay, well, welcome, you guys.
For me, 11 p.m.
Yeah, you're one hour ahead of those guys in Europe, like France and Italy and Hungary and places like that. And look at who's here. Donato's also here. Hi there, Donato. How are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Verbling.com, and my name is Lisa. I'm one of the teachers here at Verbling.com, one of the English teachers. So if you have a reservation for this hour, for this class, you can use that now, and I will welcome you here into the Google Hangouts, which is our classroom for this hour. And in this hour, we're going to be having a reading lesson. So if you are interested in practicing your English in a real way, this is a real context. I mean, this is why you are learning English, so that you can use it for different things. Maybe you need to learn English so that you can read books. Maybe you're going to study abroad in an English-speaking country. Maybe you need to read things for your job. I know we have a lot of computer science type people, engineers, coders, programmers, things like that, and a lot of times they need to read things in their manuals, and their manuals are...
I mean, my cousin's daughter has a party for us, and it has just over.
Wow, fun. Yes, we're both having celebrations today.
Yes, and my relative environment says to hi for you.
Okay, hi. Yes, so some people who are friends with me on Facebook know that today is my son's 16th birthday. So he's getting to be a pretty big guy, and in the United States, the birthday for when you turn 16, it's kind of special. One of the reasons why is because that is the age when you can get a driver's license. So when you turn 16, you can take your driver's license test, and if you pass it, then you get to be able to drive. And so that's one more step towards adulthood. You know, we have these different steps that lead you to becoming a full functioning adult, hopefully. So that's one of them. Yes, so wonderful. Welcome, Vincenzo. How are you today?
Fine.
Are written in English. So if you need to practice your reading, you can join us now in this classroom. Just click on the Join Class button, and it did say that the class was fully booked, so I'm waiting for some people to join. Hi there, Lucas. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm a little bit... Hey, Hamid. Welcome. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, good.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, I'm a little bit tired because I went into Seattle, which is the biggest city near where I live, about 2 hours away, and I had a fun time dancing, and I didn't get back home until about 2 in the morning, so I'm a little bit tired.
And I celebrate your son's birthday.
Yes.
And our party has just finished.
And listen, what about you?
Good. Little tired.
I celebrated my daughter's birthday, yes, yesterday.
Yeah. Wonderful. Did you have a good time?
Yes. We had some friends, yes, and we went out in a restaurant in order to have a feast.
Yes. To have a little celebration and have dinner together.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's always fun. Wonderful. And hi there, Kata. How are you doing? Kata, your microphone is muted, so I don't hear you if you are talking. So maybe unmute your microphone. There you go.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I a little bit sleepy.
Oh. Yes.
I went bed, but I had a sign to be